Picture this. 16th century Japan, a land of samurai, shoguns, and epic battles that make Game of Thrones look like a tea party, until a mysterious warrior steps onto the scene. He's not from Kyoto, not from Edo, heck, he's not even from the same continent. He's from Africa. Welcome to the absolutely bonkers 100% true story of Yasuke, the Black Samurai, a legend so epic it sounds like a Netflix pitch meeting where someone mixed historical accuracy with pure awesome sauce and said, "Yeah, let's make this happen." Buckle up, history buffs and action junkies. We're diving into a tale of courage, culture clashes, and a dude who turned heads faster than a ninja doing breakdancing. And here's the kicker, every word is true. By the end, you'll be wondering why Hollywood took so long to discover this gold mine. Let's go. Before we meet our hero, let's set the stage, because Japan in 1579 was absolutely mental. We're talking about the Sengoku period, literally translated as the Age of Warring States, and boy did they live up to that name. Picture this. Japan's basically a giant battle royale with about 100 different warlords all trying to become the ultimate boss. It's like if every neighborhood had its own army and decided to duke it out for who gets to rule the country. Samurai are everywhere, honor is everything, and if you look at someone funny, there's probably going to be a sword fight about it. Into this absolute madhouse sails an Italian Jesuit missionary named Alessandro Valignano. Now, Al, can we call him Al? I'm calling him Al. Al's got a mission, spread Christianity and maybe not get his head chopped off in the process. Standard Tuesday for a 16th century missionary, right? But here's where it gets interesting. Al's not traveling alone. He's got bodyguards, interpreters, and among them, a towering African man who's about to become the most famous foreigner in Japanese history. This guy's over 6 feet tall, which in 16th century Japan is basically like being the Incredible Hulk, with what one samurai described as skin black like charcoal and beautiful. The locals, they lose their absolute minds. We're talking crowds forming, people pointing, kids climbing trees to get a better look. One Japanese record says people were so amazed they literally stampeded to see him. Imagine being so cool that your mere existence causes traffic jams. Now, our mystery man's origins are more debated than pineapple on pizza. Some historians say Mozambique, others think Ethiopia, and a few wildcards throw India into the mix. What we do know is he probably spoke Portuguese, was likely educated, and definitely knew how to handle himself in a fight. The Jesuits called him their bodyguard, but let's be real. Calling this guy just a bodyguard is like calling Einstein that guy who's decent at math. This man was about to make history. Word travels fast in feudal Japan, especially when you're literally the talk of every town from Kyoto to the countryside. And guess who comes knocking? None other than Oda Nobunaga, the most powerful, most ruthless, and frankly most eccentric warlord in all of Japan. Nobunaga's the kind of guy who burns down Buddhist temples for fun, has a thing for foreign curiosities, and once showed up to battle wearing European armor just because he could. So when he hears about this mysterious African warrior, he's like, I need to meet this guy. The first meeting, pure comedy gold. Nobunaga takes one look at our hero and goes, no way this is real. Someone get some soap and water, I bet this black skin washes right off. So they literally scrub the guy down. Plot twist, the skin doesn't come off. Nobunaga's mind is blown. He's fascinated, intrigued, and probably a little embarrassed. But here's the thing about Nobunaga, he doesn't do anything halfway. Within months, this nameless African warrior has a new identity, Yasuke. Nobunaga doesn't just keep Yasuke around as eye candy. Oh no, this warlord sees potential and he runs with it. We're talking the full samurai package. A house, not a hut. A house, servants, plural, a stipend that would make other samurai jealous, and here's the big one, his own katana. Now let me pause here because giving someone a katana in feudal Japan isn't like lending your buddy your car keys. A katana is a samurai's soul. It's sacred. It's everything. And Nobunaga just handed one over to a guy who showed up on a boat 6 months ago. That's either incredible trust or Nobunaga's playing 4D chess, and we're all still figuring out the rules. But wait, there's more. Yasuke isn't sitting around polishing his sword and practicing his bow. This guy's thrown straight into the deep end of samurai warfare. We're talking full-scale battles, castle sieges, the works. And according to Japanese records, he's not just surviving, he's thriving. One chronicle describes Yasuke as having the strength of 10 men. Now that might be medieval hyperbole, but when 10 different sources say the same thing, you start to think maybe this guy really was built different. Imagine him charging into battle, 6+ feet of pure warrior in full samurai armor, wielding a katana like he was born for it. The psychological warfare alone must have been incredible. And here's the kicker. Yasuke becomes Nobunaga's constant companion. They're riding together, fighting together, probably sharing sake and talking strategy. In less than 3 years, an African man went from complete unknown to one of the most trusted warriors of the most powerful man in Japan. But here's where the history gets really juicy. Some records suggest Yasuke wasn't just a warrior. He might have been Nobunaga's page, his confidant, maybe even his friend. In a culture where social hierarchy was everything, that's revolutionary. We're talking about a friendship that transcended race, language, and culture in an era when that was basically impossible. June 21st, 1582. Mark this date because it's about to get intense. Yasuke's been living the samurai dream for about 3 years when everything goes sideways faster than a samurai sword through silk. The setting, Honnoji Temple in Kyoto. Nobunaga's taking a little R&R time, because even megalomaniac warlords need to chill sometimes, when boom! Plot twist that nobody saw coming. Akechi Mitsuhide, one of Nobunaga's most trusted generals, shows up with an army and basically says, "Surprise! I'm staging a coup." Now, Mitsuhide's reasons are complicated. Some say it was ambition, others say revenge, and a few think he just snapped under pressure. But whatever his motivation, he's just trapped the most powerful man in Japan with only a handful of retainers. Guess who's one of those retainers? Our boy Yasuke. The battle at Honnoji is like the final boss fight in the most epic video game ever made. The temple's surrounded, arrows are flying, and Nobunaga realizes this is it, game over. So he does what any self-respecting samurai would do. He performs seppuku, ritual suicide, rather than be captured. But here's where Yasuke's story gets absolutely legendary. With his dying breath, Nobunaga entrusts Yasuke with his head. Yes, you heard that right, to deliver to his eldest son. Talk about your ultimate final mission. Yasuke's job is to fight his way out of a burning temple through an army of enemies to deliver his master's remains. And you know what? He almost pulls it off. Yasuke fights like a man possessed, cutting through enemy soldiers with the skill that made him legendary. But the odds are just too overwhelming. Eventually, he's captured. Now here's where it gets interesting. Mitsuhide's soldiers bring Yasuke before their general, expecting maybe an execution or imprisonment. But Mitsuhide takes one look at this African samurai and essentially says, "You know what? You're not Japanese. This isn't really your fight. You can go." Some historians think this was racist, like Yasuke wasn't samurai enough to deserve an honorable death. Others think it was mercy, or maybe even respect. Whatever the reason, Yasuke's life is spared and he's handed back to the Jesuits. And then, poof, he vanishes from history like a ninja in the night. Okay, so we've got our hero surviving one of the most famous betrayals in Japanese history, and then he just disappears? But seriously, what happened to Yasuke after 1582 is one of history's greatest mysteries. The Jesuits reclaimed him, sure, but then what? Did he stay in Japan? Did he go back to Africa? Did he become a ramen chef? We just don't know. There are tantalizing clues, though. Some records mention a tall African man spotted in various parts of Japan in the 1590s. Was it our Yasuke? Maybe. There's also a theory that he sailed back to Africa with the Portuguese, which would be poetic justice, full circle back to where it all started. The truth is, Yasuke's disappearance might be the most brilliant part of his story. By vanishing into mystery, he becomes eternal. He's not just a historical figure, he's a legend, a symbol, a what-if that captures imaginations across centuries. Yasuke's story didn't stay buried in dusty historical archives. Oh no, this legend was just getting started. The modern Yasuke Renaissance kicked off in 1968 with a Japanese children's book called Kurosuke, which is basically Little Blackie, though that name hasn't aged well. But hey, it introduced Japanese kids to their historical figure. But here's what's really cool. Yasuke's become more than entertainment. He's a symbol of diversity in places where people claim there never was any. He's proof that epic stories come from everywhere, that heroes don't all look the same, and that sometimes truth really is stranger than fiction. Nobunaga didn't see skin color, he saw warrior potential. He's become a bridge between cultures, a reminder that the most powerful stories often come from the most unexpected places.